works and disappear. So like there's a lady down the street who had, what's that disease, endactylism, where your fingers aren't fully formed?
That sounds right, yeah.
Okay. She had that. There's no way in hell that she was going to be able to shovel the snow off of her porch. So I went up there and I said, hey, no, I didn't tell her that. I just shoveled it. Kept shoveling as fast as I could. Finally, she looked out the window, and then she came out, and she said, "What are you doing?" She talked that way, and I said, "Well," I explained to her about what Dad always said about do good works and then disappear. And she said, "You are so kind." She says, "You won't take any." She says, "You won't even take $1." And I said, "No, for that big area that I shoveled off." So she said, "Just wait here." And so she went in the house for a couple of minutes. When she came back out, she had this note folded up and then Scotch tape holding it shut. And she said to me, she asked me if I knew, I'm not going to do her voice, but she asked me, do you know about Murray Zaret's World of Animals, which has got a show going on in Coney Island? And I said, yeah, I know him. Do you know him? And she said, I'm married, we're married. That's my husband. So I said, wow, that's great. She said, now what I want you to do is take the subway down and go to Coney Island, which was like no big deal, as Mama will always tell you. When we were kids, we went all over the place without an adult around. So we went down there and went in there. And the first job that I had working in there was taking care of hamsters. And which, by the way, is muscalis is the biological name for it. And so they told me that what the note said, and I didn't know it because she gave it to me sealed. I didn't open it. But she said, that my wife is the woman who gave that to you. And I said, oh, okay, that was so nice of her. And he said, I'll tell you what I want you to do. He said, I want to offer you a job. It was around Easter time. And he said, I'll have you on for as long as you're not in school. And then after that, as we move down the road, I'll continue to hire you. So this went on for a few days, and what I would have to do in these few days is I would have to help this guy, Del Wyndham. Del Wyndham was a guy who had a circus act from a circus that never made it. They fell apart down in deep south someplace. And but he kept doing, so he was doing these shows for the crowd there at Coney Island. And what I had to do was I had to grab the tail of the alligator and lift it up with Del on the front. The part I forgot to tell you is this one day his assistant got drunk and didn't come back to work. So now I had to help him.
How old were you?
14 or 15. So then I said to Del, what do we do? He said, very simple. He said, you just help me carry the gator up on the stage. I had him in narrow stalls so that the gators couldn't turn this way or that way. And he said, and I will have a microphone in my hand and I will say, we are now going to do thus and so. He would say and it was all a bunch of made up stuff, a lot of it, these so-called very dangerous things. But these are dangerous animals. One was 9 feet and the other one was 12, I think.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, yeah, well, what's this, these animals are dangerous. He said, yeah, but if you handle them the right way, they're okay. So I started helping them all through the course of that day. They put a show on about every half an hour or an hour. They said, now appearing over in the alligator section will be in blah, blah, blah. So I was helping them carry it. Well, this one time I'd done it about 5 or 6 times, and the assistant still wasn't back. So I said to Del, when are you going to teach me how to handle a live alligator, a Louisiana swamp alligator? And he said, I'll tell you right now. He said, let's go get that gator and bring him up on the stage. So he did, and now I wasn't feeling so good about the idea. And what you do with the gator is you lay him down on the ground, and then you get up behind him, and you tap, and then he'll raise himself up and he starts to hiss. It's a scary sound when an alligator right in front of you starts hissing, as I'm sure a lot of you know. So I I said, well, how can you get it to where they don't hurt you? He said, look, he said, when I pick him up and put him up on the stage, we have him on a surface that's a little bit slippery for him, and he can't move quickly. And he said, but believe me, you'll be all right. So I said, okay. So I then went and put the alligator up on the stage again, and he walked over to it, and here's what he did. He walked over to it, and when he came over, the gator would raise up, making that hissing sound, terrible sound, a hissing sound, like telling me, get the heck out of here. And you could see it just swell up in the middle. And he said, okay. He said, now just pay attention to what you're doing. I remember I always had my hand in my pocket. He said to me, get your hand out of your pocket. We don't need you walking around in front of a live alligator with your hand in your pocket. So I said, okay. And all I really did, the story pretty much ends there, is that we carried the gator up and back a few times, and that alone for me was enough. I didn't need to do any more than that. I mean, that to be handling an alligator, to actually touch him.
Big creature like that?
Yeah, and the way we turned him over, because one of the tricks that we did was putting him to sleep. What you do is you go over, and he'd be as far from me as Jimmy is, and go like this, and that would make him lift himself up. And then when he's doing that, you reach your hand in quickly and you grab his outside hind leg and you push against him with your shoulder and you roll him over. And so we told everybody something which wasn't true. We told them that this is putting him to sleep. It didn't put him to sleep. In fact, it kind of ticked him off a little bit. So, anyway, that's the story pretty much. Sorry if I went on too long.
No, and I call that wrestling.
That is wrestling an alligator. Yeah, you ground him.
Yeah, and flip them over.
Flip him over,
Yeah, I call that wrestling.
And isn't it that if you hold the snout down,
I forgot that.
they're not very strong. It's when it's the closing that makes it really strong.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah.